I'm the AI man. This is not the real Vincent. It's the AI. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Priya and Eric, thank you for an amazing afternoon. You got the whole room liven up again. Yeah, let's go to this video. Okay. So what is the topic about? Because it's too different. Yeah, it's so different, right? The whole. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of AI, right? So Priya, then would you be looking to finance entrepreneurs who want to come up with an AI platform? Is that something that you look as social enterprise?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so in fact, on my slide, there was AI mentioned, if anyone was paying attention. So, of course, it's an emerging space. But I think the challenge I find is that a lot of the development is really happening in the West. And I think the opportunity for Asian entrepreneurs is really to use that as a base, but build our own innovation and use cases.
Yeah.
I think so far, if you look at the AI development in Southeast Asia, it's primarily in the consumer sector. Sure. Okay, this is better. So far, as I was saying, I think that one's not working. So far, we've seen mostly AI in a lot of consumer facing. It's great to see the opportunities that you shared in fintech, etc. But we are really betting on the opportunities in health, and especially making health more affordable and accessible, and especially women's health. So the program that we ran, which was, which we started off 2 years ago, it was very hard to find entrepreneurs using AI. I think if I ran that program this year, we'll definitely see at least people are more familiar with it. But we have some pioneering entrepreneurs that we found through that program who come from around South and Southeast Asia, who are all actually building innovations or integrating AI in some way, but building women's health companies. So absolutely. But I think there is a challenge of, that the opportunity is to use AI to create a level playing field, but I think we have to ensure that it doesn't create a digital divide, and I think that's where what we are interested about.
Thank you. Okay, the questions have flown in. Sorry, I just turned 55, so I need my glasses. Can AI help me with my eyesight? Okay, this is I think since Priya has talked, let's see something for Alaric. Alaric, what is the ethic of AI? Its advantages and disadvantages to men's dignity and humanity. Oh.
Wow, okay. So I love this question a lot, and it's something I think a lot. I think about a lot. So like any tool, it can be used for good. The apple, a knife could be used to kill a person, right? So it depends on what we use with the technology. Just like how, for example, I can tell you like the bad things that AI can do. For example, now AI is able to do deep fakes. So it could show you a picture of Donald Trump saying something crazy, and like it sounds exactly like him. The voice moves, the mouth moves exactly like him, and that can be very dangerous. And a lot of us are actually not prepared for an AI world, especially when, or another example, let's say we have voice cloning technology, right? And now voice cloning is pretty, like, it really sounds like you. And so let's say someone calls you and they do voice cloning and kidnaps, like says that they kidnap your daughter or something, and it sounds exactly like your daughter, and you can't call your daughter for some reason. Think of how much of scams and everything can go on with AI. But then again, with knowing all this, are we gonna say like, oh, since it's like it can be used for bad, are we not gonna use this technology? Because you saw how this technology really can help a lot. For example, it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of human labor, and it automates a lot of things that are very laborious normally. So I believe that this, like any technology, if we don't learn how to embrace it, we will be eliminated by, you know, like we will be eliminated. You know, people who know how to use AI, let's say in the workplace, people who know how to use AI will definitely be able to beat people who don't know how to use AI. Like if you need to spend 3 hours to write a letter versus someone who can write a letter in 30 seconds, obviously, you know, they are gonna beat the thing. So okay, now let's talk about the ethics of AI. So which is why when we program the AI, and we always program it to have certain ethics. So a certain code of conducts, like it must be based on the truth, it must be adding value, okay, rather than, you know, manipulation or anything. It has to, you know, like create social good and be in line with the 17 goals of the United Nations, etc. So all these can be programmed into AI. So if you program the AI this way, of course, can the AI be hacked and everything? Maybe, but if you program the AI correctly, then it's just like a computer program, right? So it will execute based on what the values initially are. And so if you program it correctly, I believe like we can use it very ethically and like for a lot of good. Yeah.
Yeah, but lots of questions for AI. I think just a follow-up question about the ethics. The ethics has to do with taking over the employment of humans, right? As it is, many people cannot find work, and AI is going to cause more people to lose their job, right? So that's, I think, one of the fears, that it will make a lot of people redundant, and would that cause more job losses, more poor people be created? So what's your take on that?
So this was a question asked to Elon Musk as well. And what Elon Musk said was that in the future, there will probably be universal basic income. That means just for being a human, the government will give you money every month. Just like, for example, right now, if you're in Dubai, if you're a citizen of Dubai, because Dubai produces so much of oil, and like the citizens, they don't really need to work because the country has so much of natural resource. So if you're a Dubai citizen, not a expatriate, but a citizen, right? You get universal basic income. And I believe that in the future, when almost every job can be automated. For example, recently I went to China, okay? And I went to Wuhan, and they have 5.5G technology. Right now we are using 5G technology. They are using 5.5G technology, faster than us, right? And then they have driverless cars, driverless buses. So I sat in a driverless bus. It could fit like 20 people, and the bus just moved without a driver, okay? There's driverless taxis, and it's already available. This technology is already available. So actually, Singapore has also used the same technology, but we already have driverless technology and everything. But the reason why the government has not allowed it to be super mainstream yet is because they're afraid that this will take away the livelihoods of a lot of Grab drivers, a lot of Uber drivers, a lot of bus drivers, etc. So they're doing it in phases. And in the meantime, they need to transition all these people to learn different jobs, because in every economy, there will always be new jobs created. You know, when AI comes out, then the people who know how to use AI will be hired, right? That there will be AI engineers. Now there's AI engineers, there's AI, you know, like there's more jobs created after AI as well. Okay. So the government has to slowly transition them out of driving Grab or Uber into something that creates more value. So number one, universal basic income, which probably will be what happens. And number two, like everyone have to transition, and then like but here's the thing, would you like, do you really want to drive the car all day, or would you rather be driven around? Oh, if let's say AI can cook and clean and do everything for you, wouldn't you want that? I think that's a pretty good life. You can just every day we can just chill and then, you know, focus on like learning new things or growing or going to the gym instead. I think no one will complain when AI starts taking over all your cleaning and your cooking and your all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
I have a robot vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Priya?
No, I'm good. I just want to go back to an ethics question. But
Okay, ethics. Okay. Okay.
I think there are three things other than the obvious risks of AI, which, you know, I think mentioned earlier. There is right now, because we are still in the development stages, I think one big challenge is that it's going to take time for the regulations to catch up. And a lot of governments and agencies you know, this is new stuff that they don't still understand it. So in addition to the deep fake and all of that, I think the misuse of AI also disproportionately affects women because of everything that we are seeing on the internet. And it's going to take time for regulations to catch up. Though the ASEAN has just released their guidelines, but you know, by the time it trickles down and becomes rules, I think it's going to be a while. But I think the biggest challenge that we are seeing, especially when it comes to use of AI in health, etc., is the protection of the data.
Yes.
And informed consent of how people are going to use it. Because if I'm a woman and I'm sharing my reproductive health data, you know, that's going into these technologies, and then tomorrow that is published, we know that, for example, you know, in Asia, there is so much taboo again. You know, if you're not able to have a child, and there's so much focus on women. So I think there are a lot of risks that we, for example, through our program, that we try to address. Because right now it has to be driven by the people who are developing it. And, you know, if today Elon Musk is thinking positively about it, great. Tomorrow, if he changes his mind, we are quite dependent on that, right? Because there's no one there to regulate these guys yet, because it's quite complex. So I think and so now we have to think about it in the context of all of the stuff the first panel discussed, the political context, and I think we've already seen it in elections across this region. So I think there are day-to-day sort of fundamental issues at risk, which are not yet being addressed. But I think having more conversations like this helps. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I'm also part of a global, a network of AI practitioners around health. I'm not sure how I'm the only non-academic there. The others are experts.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing group that is actually putting out a lot of information on ethical AI. So if anybody is interested, I'm happy to link you up with those resources.
I think AI is the buzzword now. I think countries and companies are investing. Tomorrow, I'm going to touch a bit on that as well in my talk about innovation and technology. I thought Eric would be covering some of this, but I guess I will supplement what Eric has covered. I think some of you need to understand that AI can only exist if there is information fed to it. And the information and the experience comes from all of you. All right. So you still have a role, as Eric said. As time progresses, as things go by, AI will die if nobody feeds it. It will be stagnant, okay? Right? Because they'll just be using old information, right? If you don't feed it, it will die because it have nothing new for it to create or generate. It has no value anymore. So tomorrow I'm going to focus on human-led and tech-enabled. Okay, tech is always here to assist us, never to take over what we do. All right, the human connection can never be removed. AI has to be always seen as a facilitator, something that cuts down time, we make us more efficient, more effective, so that your time is so valuable that you can use it to do more productive stuff. Okay, you're not losing a skill. Okay, somebody said, will we lose our letter writing skills? We won't. In fact, I think our letter writing skills will improve. On the contrary, because every day I'm looking at the letter, it becomes ingrained in me, right? It's like reading a book. You keep reading, it be different authors, but somehow the word stays in your head, right? The reason why some of you are speaking so well is because of your natural ability to read, to write. You know, it stays in you. And the more you read, the more you absorb those stuff. This is what AI is about as well, right? So the more you read how AI structures letters, I think on the contrary, your literacy skill may improve. Really, okay? I think Dr. Rachel can testify to it as well, right? She's a professor, but she also uses AI. So what you can do, what I do myself is I use AI to generate the first draft. But in order for AI to generate the first draft, it still has to come from me. It won't know what to write, right? If you don't feed it enough information, it will not churn out the letter you want. But when I go in, I still fine-tune it in my own personal style, but at least the structure is there. But it saves me so much time, right? The few hours I save, I could have more quality time with my family. You get more quality time with your beneficiary. So think about it that way. Never think the negative part of it, okay? So I hope I addressed that. Okay, so let's move on to Priya. Let Eric rest a bit. Priya, if someone were to invest money in your company, how much will be the annual dividends or interest? And how safe is the investment? You didn't hear what her company is about. It's capital first lost. Means you take the risk. But I'll let her explain.
Sure. So first of all, I'm not accepting investments in my business, but really into a vehicle that can invest in other impact. And so I think, let me try to reframe the question into
Yes.
something that I could answer.
Correct.
So the first question around, what are the type of returns? I think the answer is it depends. It depends on a few different things. Number one, what type of investment is it? Is it a debt? Is it a loan? Then typically, for example, the loans that are being deployed by our facility provides anywhere from 7 to 20% per annum. It ranges depending on the risk, the type of lender, and the type of business and the duration or the tenure of the loan. So we have given very affordable rates to very early stage companies who show a lot of promise, but really are not able to yet repay a market rate. But I would say most are between 8 to 15% per annum, which is very competitive compared to banks. And also it's collateral free. In terms of how much, it really depends. Now, if you want to invest into the vehicle that we have, which could invest, I would say we'll take tickets anywhere from, $5,000 upwards. I'm not capping anything. It's to do money to do good. But if you're looking at equity investments at the stages that we are talking about, the demand typically from a lot of the social entrepreneurs that we are seeing where there's a big gap is between, I would say, $25,000 to about $300,000, so up to 15 million pesos. So that is where we are seeing that a lot of businesses, they're not yet profitable. They've shown some promise, but they need money to kind of build the proof, right? That maybe they got some early customers. They are able to kind of show that their business model works, but not enough that the traditional investors will give them money, because they still need to prove that they can go to a rural province and actually deliver their product or service, or they can actually, if they're a farm to market agribusiness, that they can actually make it work, given all the things that work against them in the agri system, that they can actually collect produce from farmers who are in the highlands or, off on an island where, where it's difficult to actually, and it's costly to actually go and collect. So it really depends. I think the way to think about impact investment is also dependent on what you're looking for. We do have, I think somebody earlier was asking about, okay, this is just capitalism in a new package. I think there is a spectrum. As if anyone was watching Christian's slides, I think he showed the kind of spectrum of, there is impact first investing, there's finance first investing, if I were to just pick two of his categories. So the finance first investing is really looking primarily at, the decision is driven by the return that capital is seeking. And if that capital is seeking very big returns, then that they cannot invest in small businesses. They cannot probably invest in something that is not a tech company, because they will not get the returns. But if you're an impact first investor, then you are valuing your return on investment, both on the social and climate impact, as well as a financial return. And so then, some of the type of social entrepreneurs that many of us are seeing might actually be able to kind of raise from those impact first investors.
So leading up to that, right? So the social entrepreneurs, they're developing the programs, but their first thought is always to help people. So making money is not really there, right? Because that's why they're social entrepreneurs. They're not a business meant to begin with. Then when we want to create this program, should we think about the money we're going to make first, or think about who we can help first?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would like to kind of first say, who is a business person first? I mean, it's just all people like us, right? Who are trying to make something work. Unless you've come from a history of like, everyone in your family has been a business person and you've learned it. Most of us may not have that exposure. So I would say anybody who understands and who has a relevant solution to a problem can actually run a business, right? How big you make it, how successful you are, whether you fail at it is all different. But I think fundamentally, I think there is, I'm really glad this question was, but I think fundamentally this was my big learning and unlearning when I first moved to the Philippines was that, yes, it's true that many social entrepreneurs start with the passion or the commitment to the social issue. And so their primary sort of focus is like, okay, how do I solve this problem? How do I help this group of artisans or these women weavers in Lake Cebu? How do I help them is my first thing. But I think the truth is that to truly help them or to truly help this community, if you have to build something for the long term and actually help them come out of poverty and build livelihoods, we have to build a sustainable business. And so I would say that you can't not think about the business or the revenue with the same amount of commitment of time and effort that you're putting into the social issue, because therein lies the problem. Because then what happens is then we build projects that won't last until somebody else is funding it. You can never stand on your own feet. Right. So I think that is kind of where you'll have to make a difference. There will be many initiatives which may never be able to make money. And let's be clear, there will be many of those, and those will continue to be very impactful. And many of the initiatives that you might be looking at where you're working with the poorest of the poor might continue to, for a long period of time, need to be funded by grants or philanthropy only. But there might be many that you're looking at where you've actually set it up like a business, but you are providing, the inputs or the finance only, but then there's an opportunity. So I would say it's equally important if you really need this to survive. So if I'm today working with a group of weavers and my primary goal is to train them and to make sure that this tradition lasts beyond this generation, the only way that anyone is going to stick to that trade is if they don't go hungry. Right. So that means that they need to sell their crafts and they can't sell it just once. You need to be able to consistently have customers. So if you don't build on the revenue model as much as we are really kind of improving the quality of the design, etc., but actually you're making something that somebody will buy. If you make something that, no one is ever going to buy, then most likely, that craft is going to die. And that's the reality.
Thank you. So yeah, thanks, Alaric.
Okay, so I would like to add on this as well. So I just want to share from my own personal experience that I strongly believe that if we focus on value creation, then the money just flows naturally. So like in the past, I've been doing business since I was 19 years old. So, and I've done like 6 or 7 different businesses already. So in the past, I realized that I always hit an income ceiling when I was making maybe 10K per month when I was 19 years old. I always hit this income ceiling because like I was only focusing on myself. I was only able to scale my business from 0 to $1.2 million in 18 months. And I had thousands of students in Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Ireland, UK, America, etc. But what helped me to grow my business was when I made that switch and I said, hey, you know what? I want to focus on adding value to people. So like why I continue, because honestly, my expenses are like my living expenses since I was 19 years old has been less than 5K per month. There's no need for me to make more than 10K per month. So if I was only focusing on myself, then I would never get past the income ceiling. But how come I can scale to 100K per month was because I was thinking of how can I add value to people. So why I was able to scale my business was because number one, I wanted to help my marketer make money because like he markets my seminars for me and I pay him a commission. So I wanted to help him make money and that helped me to make money. Okay. Number two, I wanted to acquire more students so that I can teach them how to make money as well, or teach them how to do Facebook marketing, or teach them how to do sales and branding, etc. So because I was always focusing on teaching as many people as possible, sharing this gift to as many people as possible, to sharing this skill to as many people as possible, naturally, I just built a community of thousands of people naturally. And there's this thing called the law of precession. All of you can write this down: PRECESSION. So what's the law of precession? The law of precession says this, okay, that for every action, there's an equal reaction in the perpendicular direction. So for example, if I were to drop a stone, okay, the stone drops this way down, but it creates ripples in a horizontal effect. Okay, now, so why do I tell you this principle? Okay, is that whatever action that we do, there will always be ripple effects. Okay, now, so in the past, what humankind always did was that they would chase after money. They chase after money. And in order to chase after money, do you have to create value in order to make money? Yes, you definitely have to create value in order to make money. Okay. But if you only chase money, then you end up creating value, but you also create some negative effects. For example, environmental degradation. For example, child labor. For example, bad slave. Because you are always focusing on profit, then there'll be some negative effects as well. Okay, so the key for me was when I switched my paradigm to focus on value creation, and when I focus on value creation, then profit happens as a direct result of creating value. Make sense? And when you focus on value creation, of course, there are some things that make or don't make money, but if you focus on value creation in the long run, I strongly believe that you will just like God will provide, the universe will provide whatever you believe in. I honestly believe in that.
Okay, since your mic is with you and you want to help our PDOs make money, so they are asking whether you can give them a discount to build their custom AI.
Yes.
How much will it cost?
We can discuss about that. Look for me privately. Let's discuss about that. It won't be very expensive. It won't be very expensive because since we already have the AI, we just have to duplicate most of the programming and then change a little bit of your custom data, and then you will be able to use your own AI and be able to talk to your customers or your donors or volunteers on all the different social media channels and branded according to your name. Okay, so it won't be very expensive. It will be very affordable, and we can discuss. Yeah.
Since you have an income ceiling, you don't need the money, I think. You can donate some. You can donate some to the Spring Rain Foundation. Okay, I have a last question here, I think for Priya. Can the blended funding be future mode of funding? If so, what impact can it create?
I think blended financing sounds very exciting, but it is not a silver bullet to all of our solutions. But I think it has, it's really quite powerful because I think we have to recognize that, I think it's great what you explained, right? There are those who will chase after the profits. And I think a big part of the financial system today is really very driven by that. And because that's the people who own that capital, that that's what they're looking for, right? So I think the opportunity for philanthropy to play a role in blended financing is big because there are many things that we are experimenting for the first time. And also when I showed you that valley of death, a lot of businesses fail at the very early stages and they cannot access traditional financing. And so the opportunity really is for philanthropy to play that role. If we want these very impactful solutions in climate or in social issues to actually develop and continue to create jobs, continue to create impact on the ground, then we need an alternative mode of financing. The traditional financing that is chasing those big returns, it's not a match for what we're trying to do. And that's where I think blended financing really has an opportunity. We've seen it in like large scale projects with ADB and, very big level. But I think really there's a lot of power in using it to support very small businesses. But we have not seen a lot of it yet. It's being spoken about in small circles like this, but a lot of money, and it's also written about in case studies that people publish somewhere else, not in our part of the world. And I think that's what we can change. There's a huge opportunity in Asia and for Asian philanthropy, I think, to play a role in kind of not move, adding it as one more element of your philanthropic journey. I think traditional philanthropy and the things that it funds continues to be important, but I think there's a diversification that can really unlock systemic change in our part of the world. and it can come from blended financing. So I hope that if anybody is interested, I'm happy to talk more and share our learnings, because it's a really great opportunity for us to, I think we are only at 13% of achieving the sustainable development goals. We have only 6 years left, which means that most likely that we are going to miss the goals. But we don't need to miss it by 80%. We can miss it by 30%, right? So there is a lot of work to do in the next 6 years. And there's a sense of urgency, I think, that all of us as change makers have to adopt. And I think blended financing is a tool that can also help us.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'll wrap up the panel discussion here. But just some takeaway. Alaric, takeaway message, maybe just some words of wisdom to pass on.
A message, okay. Yeah, I think embrace new technology. We must always be progressive. Understand, that there might be some harms, there might be some, negative effects, but embrace new technology and use it for good. And I believe that so long as all of you have the right intentions, you will be able to use any technology and make it good. Yeah, if you come from a space of the right intentions, I believe that in the long run, you definitely add a lot of value and create a lot of value using the new technologies. And there will always be new technologies that come out. And I'm very, very excited about what, like, AI has changed so much in the last 1 year. Like a lot. AI has really changed life. I've been playing with AI almost every day, and I've seen the changes. It has been pretty amazing. And I'm sure all of you are gonna write on this together. And thank you for being open to learning about AI. Yeah.
Thanks, Alaric. In case you don't know, Alaric's sister is you don't mind sharing? It's also a religious nun. Of which order?
My sister is a Catholic nun in Spain. She's been a Catholic nun for the last 10 years. And I'm going in September to Spain to watch her do her perpetual vows, which means she's going to be a nun for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you have
Spain,
to, are you going to create an AI avatar of her so you can see her every day?
yeah, maybe.
It'd be nice if you can create an AI of Jesus. Every time I sin, and oh God, sorry God. Okay, so Priya, what's your takeaway message?
So laughing from that image, I just want to say, in the earlier presentation, sister's presentation, she pointed out that gender equality was missing in that acronym. I also have that question why, but I think big part of my work is really working around gender equity. And I think the piece that I want to kind of say is that in all of this talk around financing, the data shows that women entrepreneurs are being left behind, and the financial system is currently not working for them. And so for the call to action, I think really, and the key takeaway for me is anything that you're designing, since all of us come from social impact, we always assume that we are being inclusive. Let's not take it for granted. I think we have to very formally and intentionally apply a gender and inclusion lens. And I think for anybody working in the financing side, in philanthropy, in hopefully impact investing that, some of you might move into, I think the big gap is really funding women-led companies and businesses. And I hope the last 3 years of my life has really gone into figuring out why this is happening. And actually, so our facilities are all committed to funding majority women-led and underrepresented entrepreneurs. And by that, I mean, the LGBTQ community, but entrepreneurs who are also in rural areas, because you need to speak English, you need to have nice presentation today to raise money. And if you don't, then, it's very unlikely that you actually access financing. So inclusion has many faces. And I hope that as we all build our initiatives, which has funding, we really think about the gender financing gap, because 70% of businesses, small businesses across Southeast Asia are started by women, and they don't get the support that they need. So I hope, all of us can work together collaboratively to address the gender financing gap.
Thanks, Priya. So, yeah. So my one takeaway, although when I started this panel, I thought there's two different, but I think somehow they managed to help me and gel it together. But I think what is apparent is both of them are speaking something that is either new to you or the unknown, right? One is AI and one is starting your own social enterprise, right? So, but both can go hand in hand, right? You can use the AI to help you set up your social enterprise. And that's why the theme is nurturing transformative change, right? This is it. This is the era of philanthropy. We have to transform, right? They evolved. I remembered 9 years ago when I was at Bali and Glenn asked me to speak about crypto philanthropy. I said, oh my God, crypto philanthropy. Yeah, if you had bought Ethereum back then, you'll be making 4,000 times. But I'm just kidding. Okay, but that is the truth, right? So, but you embraced it, right? And I think some of you have created your e-wallets accepting cryptocurrency as donation. That's moving ahead. That's accepting it, right? The unknown will only be unknown if you do not step into it. But once you step into it, you know it, right? It won't be unknown anymore, right? As long as you don't see it, you don't want to do it, it's unknown to you all the time. That's why we're having this conference, right? We have experts on the field, right, who will share their expertise with you so that the unknown become known to you, right? And that's why you'll be ready for this. So thank you, our speakers, Alaric and Priya, and thank you again for your questions. Thank you.